people really take a big risk when they stay home too long and don't evacuate.
Well, yeah, we just showed that story with that truck. It can rescue people, but Eric, you're hoping that that's not the situation, that people heed the warnings and they don't put law enforcement in a dangerous predicament.
Right, because if you have to use that truck, someone's got to get into that truck and head out into dangerous weather as well. And so for a storm like this, really at the top end when it comes to coastal flooding potential, just want to make sure that people do the thing that gets them out of harm's way, because storms only come around every once in a while. Getting out of the way for a little bit, hopefully not too much of an inconvenience. We've got the highest impact at the coast for sure here. Flooding, erosion, strong winds, heavy rainfall for everyone, 2 to 4 inches of rain, and then that change over to wet snow, which will take place as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So here's a look at our storm system. Phase 1 is moving up through the Great Lakes. This is going to put down a blanket of very heavy snowfall across New York State. And then it's going to transfer its energy down to the coast, where a new area of low pressure will take shape. And we have some strong polar energy. See this little dip right in here? This is what's going to dive in toward the coastline and really enhance that coastal low, tuck it up south of New England, and then slowly drift it away to the south and east this weekend. So this all begins for us after midnight tonight. That's where rain will start to develop. Temperatures are still fairly mild after what was an April day outside today. Some towns hit 65 degrees, which is surreal. And then as we head into the midday, it's pouring rainfall, but right around, say, 12 to 1, this is where we could start cooling the atmosphere enough where it switches over to a heavy wet snowfall. That would happen first across the higher elevations into central Mass, the Monadnocks, and western Massachusetts. And then by tomorrow evening, I think we'll see that flip that'll come down through Boston and even southeastern Mass. And although your totals won't be as great, when you've got heavy wet snow falling and very strong winds, travel can be very hazardous with poor visibility. So for everyone, we'll see things kind of evolve throughout the day in a multi-staged event. The winds start to pick up tomorrow morning, but they really howl as we head toward midday and throughout the afternoon. Gusting 40 to 60 inland. We'll see gusts 50 to as high as 80 miles per hour along the coastline tomorrow. There'll be batches of stronger winds that roll ashore. Now, wind out of the northeast goes a little bit more north-northeasterly as we head into Friday night. And so this is really going to pile the water up along the South Shore into Cape Cod Bay. And that will create a flooding situation into Saturday where we'll still have strong winds and that water will not be able to escape. Notice on Saturday, we could still see some gusts over 60 miles per hour on Cape Cod. Flood watches are out across southern New England, particularly eastern Mass, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. At least 1 to 3, but some areas will see 4 inches of rainfall, some minor flooding on rivers, and a lot of standing water on the roads. Plus, when you've got coastal water coming in from the ocean, and then you've got all that fresh water trying to rush out, you can back up the drains and create more flooding issues. Now, across the seacoast, Cape Ann, keep in mind places like Plum Island and Rockport and Gloucester may be cut off when it comes to floodwaters blocking the arteries in and out. So there'll be a time where those spots will be inaccessible. Boston, expect to see flooding into the city like we saw in January, but perhaps 3 times each high tide cycle, Friday into Saturday. And as we head down toward Cape Cod, I think those highest flood risks are actually not just tomorrow, but Saturday is when the water really piles up and produces the highest flooding overall in Cape Cod Bay. That's around midday. Wave heights, huge just offshore, 30 to 35 footers, but we'll see 7 to 15 footers moving their way toward the coastline. And that'll be a basin-wide issue all across the Atlantic. Huge wave heights, well over 30 feet. The final element, the snowfall, the flip occurring first in central Mass. This is where we have the highest end potential of power outages, heavy wet snow that could bring down some limbs and some power lines. This weekend will be gusty with temps in the low 40s. Next week, quiet to start, but Wednesday brings the chance of another storm.